All right, good morning and welcome back to a very exciting boat build video. In this one, we are moving on to, can you guess, one of the most important parts of the boat. If all goes to plan, by the end of this video, the windows will be going in the boat, which will be one of the most transformative parts of the boat build yet. One of the most exciting parts of the boat build anyway. And you could make a case that they're the most important because a boat without windows would be kind of useless. After the tour, we also have a lot of work to do on the boat. We're going to be working on everything from the work rail to fitting the trap rack, and later in the video we run into a problem that leads us to having to cut the brand new boat apart. We take one step forward and we run into two problems that put us back. While all of this is happening, I'm still working two basically full-time jobs, so we're going to be doing some lobster fishing as well, and you won't believe what we catch later in this video. So the windows are built by a company called Advantech, and they were built over on the west coast actually. They're a window called Diamond Sea Glaze, and they're an extremely high quality, very sharp looking framed window. They're going to be black frames with tinted glass on them, so they're going to look really sharp, and I'm super excited to put them in. But before we get to that part of the video, I'm going to give you a full tour of the boat because it's been a while since I've given you a full walkthrough of the boat. A lot has happened, a lot has changed. The boat looks pretty close to being done. We're only a few weeks now from launch day, so everything visually in the boat pretty much looks done aside from the windows being put in. Once they get put in, it's really going to start getting real. So excuse the mess as we walk through the boat. We are still very much in work mode. It's not done by any means, but it's getting close. We got the rubber floor installed. This is just a thin rubber with white flakes in it. We got to glue that down. That's still on the list of things to do. As we come down the stairs here, there'll be doors in all of these openings. There'll be an opening hatch in the top of this. Hopefully, if all goes to plan, by the end of this video, this stuff will be installed. Not much has changed up here in the bunks. We have the 4 bunks. We have the bathroom. Toilet needs to get bolted down. All of this stuff still probably looks pretty much the same as the last tour you saw, but when we go down into the engine room, things look pretty different pretty quick. So as we come down the stairwell into the engine room, one of the coolest parts is all of the fuel filters are right here, conveniently located, so it's easy to change them. We don't even have to go in the engine room. If we ever need to change ray cores, they're right here. The main engine fuel filters, generator fuel filters, all the fuel here is conveniently located. We got the selector valve to pick which tank we're running off of. And then in this is actually new. In the ray cores, this is just a standard ray core filter, but there's like an electric turbine pump. It's a priming pump. So if you ever get air in the system, if you ever run out of fuel, for whatever reason, if you get airbound, usually you're sitting here pouring cans in, trying to bleed valves, doing whatever you can. Sometimes getting airbound can be a real pain in the butt, especially offshore when it's rough. This turbine pump, you just flick a switch and it primes the entire system all the way through all the filters, through the engine, back to the return to the fuel tank. It basically bleeds all the air out of the system. It's going to be a dream. I'm very excited about that. What a brilliant piece of
modern technology.
Piece of technology, sure, we'll go with technology. When we first fill this thing, the entire system is full of air. All the filters, the engine, all the fuel lines from here to the tanks. There'd be quite a bleeding process to try to get it all bled out, but in theory, this thing on the first startup is gonna save a few gray hairs, which as you can tell, I need all the help doing that I can get. As we head down into the engine room here, you're gonna notice some wires. So just making them look real neat and real nice. This is where I'm gonna have to skip the educational portion of the tour because what all of this stuff does, I have no idea. I won't lie to you. There is more little blue Victron boxes down here. I don't know what they do. But the cool thing is after we get this thing in the water, a Victron tech is actually gonna come down and teach me what everything does. And while they teach me all the ins and outs of the electrical system of this boat, I'll teach you guys as well. So I'll give a more educational bit on the Victron system that's in this thing when I know more about it. But at the moment I don't. TJ's teaching me a little bit as we go, but it's all a bit over my head. I do know a little bit about the plumbing. I can share that. We got the 2 hydraulic water pumps. These are called pacer pumps. They run off the hydraulics that the pump on the engine produces, and these can pump a lot of water, and they actually have electronic controls up top in the helm where you can control how much flow of water they provide. So if we want to crank the pressure up and get a real high pressure hose or high volume hose, we can turn it up. One of these is going to feed the washdown hose to clean up with. The other one is going to feed the lobster tanks that are below deck in the floor. This hose right here is where the pump sucks water from the ocean. This is a seacock. This goes through the ocean. So when this valve is in that configuration, It's sucking from the ocean. When it's in this configuration, it's sucking from here, and we're gonna actually hook a hose up and run it up to the top of the deck so we can use the washdown hose up on deck to either push water or suck water. As we move over to the port side of the engine room, again, more Victron boxes. Everywhere I look, there's little Victron boxes. Don't know what any, oh, this is, I guess I do know what this is. This is a DC to DC battery charger. 24 volt engine to the 12 volt bus. So this is, allows the 24 volt alternator on the engine to charge the 12 volt side. We have a few 12 volt electronics in here. A lot of it's gonna be 24. TJ's doing a nice job. It's looking clean too, like for all the wires. A lot of the big wires that you see are for the bow and the stern thruster, which I'm super excited about. Those big, thick cables, they run all the way to the stern of the boat to an electric motor in the back, which I'll show you later in the tour. We also have one in the bow of the boat. They're electric bow and stern thrusters. So we should be able to spin this boat right in a circle. It's gonna be really cool. Something that's also really cool, not necessarily an essential, but when it's not essential, it's what? Luxury. Luxury? But it will be a nice luxury. We got a freshwater system in the boat. In the front of the boat, we have a 50-gallon tank. There is freshwater hose right at the harbor that I fish out of, so we can fill that 50-gallon tank up. So we'll have hot, fresh water anytime that the generator or the main engine is running. And what's pretty cool about this is we can actually run it backwards, and it will serve as a preheater to heat the engines. Usually we get down to the boat and it's like, it's a battle. It's frozen, it's cold. The first hour of the day sucks because it's miserably cold. As soon as I roll over, when my alarm clock goes off, I'm gonna be able to hit a button on my phone and start the generator up. When I start the generator up, the hot water heater is gonna fire up and start warming the water inside of the hot water tank. Once we have a tank full of hot water, the engine is gonna be able to circulate its coolant through the hot water heater, basically do the opposite of a hot water heater. It's going to heat the engine instead. So the engine should, in theory, be right up to temperature. Everything would be nice and warm when we get it in February. It's going to be so awesome. Then we also have the luxury of hot and cold water all through the engine room. We got hot and cold water hookups right there. We got hot and cold water hookups out on the deck. We're gonna be able to clean everywhere with fresh water rather than spray everything down with salt water, which would be such a shame to clean down here in a boat this nice with salt water. So back here, we've got the little Northern Lights 9 kW generator. And I do know that if we overload the generator, which is unlikely, I don't think I'll ever need that much power, but if we do, the Victron system is so smart that I think the inverter they said was like 6,000. The inverter will actually assist the generator if the generator gets overloaded. So we could run a lot of stuff up here. We got the generator muffler here to keep it quiet. We got a manifold, which is something that's pretty unique. Not many, I've never seen a boat do this before, but since there's 3 tanks under the floor and several bilge pumps up here, we have a lot of places where we need to pump water overboard. And traditionally, normally you got to put a through the hull everywhere. You want to dump water overboard. So if you have a bilge pump here, a bilge pump there, and 3 tanks pumping out, that's 5. You'd have to put 5 through hulls to get the water overboard. So instead, we just made a manifold here. It's basically like a consolidator box. All of our pumps pump into this box. It gravity feeds, drains down and out through the side of the boat through a big, can't remember what it is, 4 or 5 inch through hull out through the side of the boat. So back here also is the sea strainers, filter the salt water before they run into the generator, before they run into the main engine. They've made it all fit. I'm surprised at how quickly we're filling this engine room up. At first I was blown away at how big it was down here, but with all the stuff we're putting in here, it's filling up pretty quick. You wouldn't want to try to put all of this in my current boat. You'd be out of room pretty quick. So this is the 800 horsepower model. It's tuned differently. A true continuous duty engine. It only turns 1800 RPMs wide open. This thing can be run wide open all the time, which would be nice for what we do. The only thing this thing's gonna be racing is Lobsters. 800 horsepower is plenty for that. So when we launch it and we put her wide open, what she goes is what she's gonna go everywhere she goes for the rest of her life. The computer says that it should do around 20 knots, which I would be so ecstatic if we could get even 18, 19 knots out of this thing and have it continuous all the time. Will be so nice. And it should do that under pretty heavy loads too, even with traps on. A lot of times when we put traps or fill the boat with pogies right now, my boat loses a lot of speed when it's loaded. You put traps on that thing and we're only cruising 11, 12 knots. This one should hold on to that cruise speed much better with a load of weight on, since it's got a 2.5 to 1 gear. Monster torque engine, big propeller. Propeller should be here any day now. It's a 5-blade, 42-43. So while it's only 800 horse, to put it in perspective, my propeller on my current boat is a 32 square. So you're comparing a 32 square to a 42-43. It's quite a difference. This one is gonna push a lot more water. While it's only 50 more horsepower than my current boat, it's just totally different animal. This is pretty cool too. We got the hydraulic ports. These are where we go up to the roof. This is a very convenient solution for running hydraulics up to the mast and the boom on the roof. There's really no good way to do it. This under the bottles and cans here is the main engine bilge. You can see we got a little low spot where all the water will run forward when we're sitting still. If the boat's not cruising, all the water runs forward, but if the boat's underway, it leans back and the water runs backwards, so there'll be another bilge pump in the back of the engine room. So 2 bilge pumps in the engine room. Underneath this step, we're also going to have some removable plugs that drain the forward floor. Usually boats will put bilge pumps up front, but it's been my experience that bilge pumps don't hold up very good in boats. So the reason you want to have up there sealed off from the main engine room is you want to have as many compartments as possible that are separated from each other. So if you ever get a leak in the engine room, this compartment up here stays dry. If you ever get a leak up here in the front of the boat, the engine room stays dry. Same for the back of the boat. There's another compartment back there. So it's kind of isolated. There's sections of the boat that you want isolated from each other. Rather than doing bilge pumps, I'm just going to have some removable plugs. One to drain. There's actually 2 compartments ahead of me. There's one here, and then there's one in the very front of the boat. There'll be 2 plugs here to drain this section, and then another plug to drain the front section. So we can drain them if in the event we ever get water, but the plugs will stay in all the time. That way, if they do leak, the water is contained to the front of the boat until we want to drain it to the back of the boat. So we still have the control of having bilge pumps up there without the headache of having bilge pumps up there. We're missing hydraulics still, but the hydraulics are all in a shop about an hour away from here, laid out on a floor. They're ready to go. He's been over here and checked it out. He knows exactly where and how everything's gonna go. So he says once he shows up here, he's only gonna be a day or 2 putting all the hydraulics in place. So that's coming very soon as well. This is gonna be a searchlight sonar. If you've been following the boat build series for a while, you remember we were hoping this was gonna stay down under the floor, but there'll be a little sonar tube head that sticks up above this top step that trips intruders. So if anybody wanders down here that's not supposed to be down here, that's going to be a little booby trap for them, a little Home Alone tripping hazard, so they trip and fall, and we'll find them down there in the bottom of the bilge.
That or you're just going to hear me and Coach.
So don't tell anybody about the tripping hazard. That's our little Kevin McAllister secret. Up here in the front of the boat, we do have 4 bunks, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Technically, a kid could sleep across the side. This is where the freshwater tank is, which would be nice for a little bit of bow ballast. If you want to put 50 gallons of water up here, so squat the bow down a little bit. There's the Sleipner, or Sleipner, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but that's the bow thruster motor hooked up and ready to go, and I cannot wait to hit that button for the first time and see what it does. That's going to be so cool. We got the captain's quarters in here, another bunk here, big storage compartment under here. Figure this will be a nice spot to keep the tuna rods. This will be our rod locker. That's Cody's locker. All right, so up in the wheelhouse, this is the pole that I said has the hydraulic lines encased inside of it. So inside of this stainless pole is the hydraulic lines that run up to the roof, safe, out of the way, secure, and very permanent. There will be a table sitting right here where the pole will also act as a table support. I got a cheap Amazon special table for now, given that we are on a time crunch. I figured we'll see how long. It's a composite table, so it should, in theory, last quite a while. It was the perfect dimensions for the spot, so we're gonna be installing that here pretty soon. A nice booth here to teach everybody how to play cribbage.
I'll show you how good of a dancer I am.
These are pretty cool. It sounds like a dumb idea at first, but when you really think about it, I think it's an awesome, brilliant idea. TJ came up with it. I never would have thought of it myself, but these are just cheap motion activated battery lights. As soon as you walk by them, the light turns on. You don't have to turn the power on. You don't have to turn big lights on. If you're laying somewhere on an anchor for the night, you can wander throughout the boat, down forward, wherever we go. They're not obviously going to be the brightest thing, but they're basically the replacement of walking around and holding your cell phone. All right, this is where all the wires are going to go up through to the mast. The mast is sitting down on the floor. We've begun wiring that as well. This is the completed generator engine box. We put sound down on the inside of it, so hopefully everything in this boat is going to be extremely quiet. I'm excited for the first startup of this thing in the water. I think it's going to be remarkably quiet. We've got a lot of sound down. We've got rubber floor. We've got a sound down muffler. It should make filming and talking to you much easier, whereas on the current boat right now, unless that thing's sitting at an idle, there's no talking to the camera, and I know a lot of the time you guys are complaining in the comments about not being able to hear me very well. Mics are great. I've tried to run them, but the water, the wet environment does not cooperate with the mics, and they get caught on stuff. I'd pretty much have to replace one a couple times a day. Hopefully the solution to that is a very quiet engine to begin with. The MAN V12 is extremely quiet as it is. When we started it up in the shop, I was blown away by how quiet it is. And then we stacked a pile of sound down on top of it. You should barely be able to hear this thing running. We got a fridge for the pokey days, which is By the way, recently the pogies have showed up and we've been pogie fishing, which by the way is extremely painful knowing like how close this thing is to the finish line and how nice it would be for what we're currently doing on the ocean in my old boat. The pogies have showed up, but they're really far away from home, so we've been having to travel in my old boat to go get the pogies. Which is our bait. If you're not familiar, we have a bait fishery and we go out and we catch our own lobster bait and we're able to use it and save some money and sell it as a little extra side income. But the pogies, for whatever reason, after a cold winter, haven't came to our harbor where they historically have. So we've been having to travel down the coast to get to them, traveling and doing overnight trips in the old boat. While this one is so close to being done is painful. We have a refrigerator, it's been brutally hot. What I wouldn't give to have this refrigerator on the old boat on some of those trips. It's not a monster refrigerator, but it's good enough to throw some drinks in. I guess we could bring a cooler and ice too, but we're not that smart. Fresh water and a sink in the wheelhouse. Here's some storage cabinets. We have more storage under the bench over here. Plenty of storage to keep stuff. Also on the overnight trips, whether it's for content, tuna fish, pogies, whatever it is, we've got a cooktop right in here that'll run electric off the generater.
Might as well just name that my grill.
Tristan's gonna be the in-house chef. Fire up some nice New York strips.
Oh my god, how good is that gonna be? You know what we need to, first thing we need to cook on that?
What?
A tuna steak from the tuna we catch.
That'd be cool.
That would be legendary.
Yeah, so I saw a comment too in the last video that said we should mount the first keeper lobster. I'm gonna have Adam mount it and we'll hang it up in the wheelhouse.
Nice.
The first keeper lobster that we catch in this boat, if we get a mount done of it, we'll hang him up here somewhere. Maybe we'll even let him go. First keeper female, we'll punch her for no reason and let her go and then mount her. Another storage cubby for junk. This is gonna be a true junk drawer. It's probably gonna be full of everything. You'll probably be digging to the bottom of that trying to find what you're looking for and still not be able to find it. I'm gonna try my hardest to keep this boat clean and organized. You can see we're not off to a very good start in that. We got stuff thrown everywhere, but this is a work in progress. It's organized chaos. The inside hauling station is coming out really nice. It's coming along. We've got lots of flush mount electronics. I was really hoping we were gonna be able to fit all of the electronics flush mount rather than having monitors on the wall. Tristan, have you ever hit your head off the monitor on the wall? The monitor we have right now is like in a perfect position where no matter how many times you hit your head, you forget it's there.
I hit it at least once or twice.
I don't know how the thing's still alive. It's the toughest computer monitor. If you need a computer monitor for tough environments, I'm gonna get you the name of that thing. So these will be out of heads harm way, and they're also out of visibility way. The ones I have now block the visibility of the windows. This boat is actually, even though it's bigger, a much bigger bow, and I'm sitting back a little bit farther where I haul, I think I'm gonna be able to see better out of this boat than I can my old boat. We got lots of flush mount electronics. These two are gonna go to a computer, like an actual regular computer that runs the software. We'll have Time Zero and Wasp, which are two softwares that are gonna show all kinds of information under the boat with that superhero, the superpower transducer that's on the bottom that we installed a few videos back. And this is a TZ Touch. This is gonna run basically whatever we want. We also have side scan transducers in the back, so we're gonna be able to side scan. Bottom machine, radar overlay. It's gonna be able to do all kinds of cool stuff. These are also touchscreen computer monitors, which I didn't even know they made such a thing, but I'm excited about that. Usually I use a keyboard and a mouse. I'm still gonna have the ability to do keyboard and a mouse. I actually have a keyboard and a mouse tray right here. It's gonna mount underneath here and pull out. So this is essentially a little computer desk in here. I'm gonna get a small removable chair so I can put it in here when I wanna be in here. The big chair is gonna stay out there from Norsap. If you missed that, you can go back and check it out. This thing's gonna have a big chair right there that's it's the same chair that's in the aircraft carriers for the US military. So that's pretty cool. It's not in here right now because it kind of gets in the way while we're trying to work. But once it's done and after we launch the boat, we're gonna stick it in. Everything is gonna be so conveniently located inside of here. You're gonna be able to run everything. The entire boat is gonna be able to be run from right here, and not only right here, but like in a confined space. You can reach all the controls from one spot without moving. I'm also trying to mount as many switches and controls as I can right here where I can conveniently reach them from inside or outside. So whether I'm running the boat from in there or out here, I'll be able to reach a lot of these controls like turning the lights on, deck lights, tank pump outs, the bow and stern thrusters, which is run by this. You push this one this way and the bow goes that way. You push this one this way, the stern goes this way, and you can spin this thing right in a circle. You can also do a hold, so it'll continuously run without you having to hold it down. But if you want to do variable speed, variable controls, these little joysticks are what runs it. We've got the quick shift by Twin Disc, which is a super, super cool shifter. I'll share more about that after we get it in the water when I actually get to use it, but it's so much nicer than a regular traditional shifter in a boat. Hauler handle, to run the hauler, similar to my boat now. Both booms, this boat's gonna have 2 booms on the roof instead of 1. My current boat has 1 boom. We use it for pogie fishing to catch the bait I was talking about. But 1 boom is constantly juggling back and forth to try to do 2 jobs. So this boat is gonna have 2 booms, so we don't have to switch back and forth. Make it one less step we have to do in the chaotic pogie bait fishing day. So this will run 1 boom, this will run the other boom. So the hauler isn't complete yet, but the backing plate is bolted on the hauler and the motor will get mounted here. We got the rope locker, which is gonna be one of the biggest changes in this boat compared to my other boat. We got a lot of little things that are gonna change. It's gonna take a little getting used to. There's gonna be some growing pains trying to figure out how to work smoothly in this one. But most of the growing pains are gonna be fairly small and fairly easy to get used to. The shifter, for example, is gonna be one thing that I'm gonna have to get used to. Maybe standing behind the electronics will be a little getting used to. Right now I'm looking left. I'm probably gonna have a habit of looking left. I've been looking left at my electronics my entire life. Now I'm gonna be looking forward, which is also gonna eliminate 1 step. Usually I'm going like this all day long. But again, a little bit of a learning curve there. And this rope locker I think will be one of the biggest learning curves. Right now, the rope after it comes out of the hauler just coils up and lands on the floor, which is one of the most dangerous parts of the job. This rope, as we set the 5 traps overboard, gets pulled overboard with force, and if you get your feet tangled up in that rope, you're going overboard in a quick way. Your buddy can try to grab you and hold on to you, but 5 traps pulling on the other side of it. There's not much you can do about it. You hope your boot slips off. Try to get the boat in reverse if we notice it and have time to, and get the boat slowed down to relieve the strain off of the 5 traps and get people untangled out of the ropes. Fortunately, I've never had anybody go overboard. I have. Cody lost a boot last summer, which was scary. It dragged him for a minute, and we did exactly what I said. I got the boat back down and got the strain off of it at the same time his boot pulled off. So anyway, this rope locker will be much safer because all the rope will go down under the floor. And when we set it out, it will get pulled out by our feet, but when it goes out by our feet, it'll be in a straight single strand line. We won't have a giant coil of it. Right now we have 600 feet of it piled up at our feet. We also have the hot tank up here that I'm pretty excited about. That worked out good. This washboard is extremely big and extremely deep, so we got a giant tank of water with engine coolant going to be circulating in the bottom of it. That's going to make it hot, so we'll have a hot tank there and a hot tank here. Right here we'll have a cull box, similar to the one that's in my current boat, but it's going to be a lot flatter. Rather than a deep, small one, this one's going to be a flat, more like a table, so it'll only be like 6 inches deep or so. So we're more working on a table rather than down inside of a box. It'll be much easier to work out of and a lot easier on the lobsters. They won't be dropping a long ways down into the bottom of a box. Sitting in this cutout will be a giant aluminum bait box with a crank up floor. So the floor can actually get cranked up manually, up and down. We can lower it down and fill it right full of bait. Tristan can work off the top of it, and as he can't reach it, he can just crank it up a little bit, keep bringing the floor up to him. We've had the luxury of me, Tristan, and Cody being able to kind of tumble ideas around, mold this so that it's built exactly for our workflow. This, for example, put this in just for Tristan. My other door, Tristan wore the door handle right off it, blew the hinges off it. He's in and out of that thing more times than my humorous brain isn't working at the moment. But anyway, there'll be a door here and a door over there so we can enter the wheelhouse from either spot. So if there's a lot going on and it's chaotic up there, still get in and out of the wheelhouse back here.
Where's the sound system gonna go on this?
There'll be speakers everywhere. We're gonna have a lot of speakers, a lot of lights, all these blue tapes that you see on the roof is where we're going to be mounting lights pretty soon. That's going to be coming right up real soon. This is where all the plumbing controls are. We have, again, 3 lobster tanks in the floor. This is there's a valve in here that'll control which tanks we're pumping water into from that pacer pump down under the floor. This is where I was mentioning the washdown hose is going to come out and we'll pump water out of our hose, but if we reverse that selector valve, we're going to suck out of this one instead of sucking out of the ocean. So we can just take the washdown hose off of this one, stick it on this one, and then our washdown hose is a suction hose and we'll be blasting water out through the deck from either our bilge or wherever we want to. These are the 3 tanks in the floor. This one is probably going to be the one that we use most of the time for lobster fishing. I think they're like 3 high. I can't remember now. 20 crates or so, maybe more than that. We figured it up at one point, but as Tristan mentioned, my brain is pretty deprived at the moment, so I've forgotten now, but we can hold more than we can catch under the floor anyway. We'll leave it at that. If we do manage to fill this one, we have 2 more on this side. But these 2 probably most of the time just get used for storage. We can keep whatever we want down there. Rope, buoys, floats, grapples. We could keep spare traps down there for that matter. A tuna fish, 1 on each side. Maybe some marlin off the Bahamas.
You could log well them too, couldn't you?
Yeah, these fill right up. We can either flood them. So up here in the corner, we built beveled corners. So there's little voids in the top corners of this that are on a 45. These voids get filled with water. And in these voids, there's holes drilled. So they sprinkle water in as they pump in. So this whole thing just sprinkles water on the top and then it gets pumped out down here in the bottom. So as we stack our crates up, we can run water over the top, pump it out the bottom, and we can keep it dry if we want, if we don't want to lug the weight around, if we want the speed. But on a rough day, if we want to flood it, we can just shut that pump off. This tank will fill right up with water and it'll act as ballast. Put a hot tank coil in here, make it a hot tub.
Yeah.
A few times a year, we got to cook our traps. We have this big tank of hot water that sits on the deck, and it runs off a diesel burner, and it gets scorching hot inside of it. And you set the entire trap down in it for like 7 to 8 seconds. Pull it out and it kills all the barnacles, all the growth. The trap's clean, easy to work with, fishes a little better. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do, but we were just mentioning you could potentially do it right here if you wanted to heat this water up somehow. But I don't know, it might be harder where it's down in the floor. Something we could explore. We could try it first, see how bad it sucked. Yeah. Another thing that's gonna be really nice is on Pogie days, we can put like full standing barrels under here. We can fit like, I think like 8 or 9 barrels in each one of these. So we can fit like 25 barrels under the floor of this boat, which is one of the biggest bottlenecks on my current boat. When we go pogeing, we're allowed 51 barrels in the day. When we put 51 barrels on my current boat, she's out of room and she's half sunk. It does the job, but it's all it wants to do. This boat will be much better suited, much safer, and be better equipped, especially when we find ourselves in situations like we are now where we have to travel. We have to travel long distances to get pogies. Coming home, half sunk, loaded with pogies, it's stressful and it's a long ride. Again, going pogeing in my current boat and coming over here and seeing this one it's tough, but we're doing it. We're making it work. The old girl's still got it. One thing also that we've done in this boat that's been different than my boats in the past is we've eliminated pretty much all non-essential deck hatches. Usually there's side compartments over here, and smaller boats, rightfully so, will utilize that space as storage space. My current boat, it's nice to throw stuff down there, but it makes such a mess. Those hatches leak inevitably over time, and bait juice and mud, everything ends up down in there, and once it ends up down in there, it goes everywhere under the floor. So this is actually completely dry. The side storage we usually put in the boats is just a crawl area, so you can crawl back through each side all the way to the back of the boat.
What is this giant hole in the back?
That's a monster hatch. It's down there on the floor. It's huge. I picked the biggest one out and I didn't realize it was that big, but it will be nice for climbing in and out. I mean, we could even use this for storage, but this is the lazarette hatch. This is one of the watertight compartments that I was talking about when I was in the engine room. This whole section is isolated because this is one of the most dangerous spots in the boat to spring a leak. If you hear a boat sinking, oftentimes this is where it happens. Down here, we built this a little bit differently than I normally would too. Usually this hatch is right over the top of your steering, so you can work on whatever you're working on down through the hatch. But this boat is so deep, you have the luxury of being able to climb right inside of there and work on it on the inside. So all of the electronic components are back here. In this area here is where the hatch is. So if we leak through the hatch, it's just going to land down here in this section and get pumped out. And this, in theory, should stay very dry. Of course, again, there's a few spots where it could leak in this section. So if it does, we're going to have a drain hole here with a little bolt plug in it, similar to the one up forward. So I can pull the plug and drain it if I want to, but I'm hoping I can leave that plug right in there and this section just stays dry. And then if we want to work on it, we can work on it. Back there in the back, you can see the Sleipner electric stern thruster, same exact one that's in the front of the boat, but this one is in the back of the boat. Really excited. We did these primarily for pogie fishing to help keep the net away from the boat. We can maneuver the boat wherever we want, and it'll take a lot of the stress out of purse-seining. Right now, the way that we do it, we put a guy in a skiff, and he's in charge of pulling the boat away from the net. So instead of having that guy in the skiff trying to pull the boat away from the net, he can be in the boat helping us. So it should free up a whole man's job if it works the way we want it to. And then this is the steering. And if it looks like a work of art, it is. This is like the craziest steering system I've ever seen. It's made by a local machine shop right here, actually. It's only about a half an hour up the road where they made these things. The owner of it's a really cool guy, and he actually works on all kinds of parts. Military parts, Black Hawk helicopter parts. He actually has Starship from SpaceX parts. The guy's super smart. He's gonna come over. He's gonna share a little bit of the nitty-gritty technical details about this, because like the electrical system, I'm a little underqualified to share what makes this steering system so cool, but believe me when I tell you that this steering system is extremely cool. So Paul, the welder, has begun building the stern tailgate extension. See, we're coming back a little bit farther just to square the back of the boat up. We're gonna be able to fold this down and open it up, just like on my current boat. When it opens up, we'll be able to let the purse seine go out the back, but it's also gonna make the deck a little bit longer. We'll actually be able to stack a whole tier of traps back here on the back of it. So before we go down to the bottom of the boat real quick, the front of the boat is looking sharp. We've got all black gel coat full of sand for non-skid. It's actually the sand from the cottages up the road that we have. Just to give it some sentimental value, it looks really sharp. It's all black surfaces, which are nice for melting snow and ice off the roof, and it also takes the glare off the bow of the boat. A lot of boats make them shiny and pretty up here, but I opted for the opposite because when the sun's shining on it, it bounces back in your eyeballs. And at nighttime, if you turn the lights on, it illuminates the bow and blinds you. So black trunk and black bow is nice for keeping both lights and sun off of it and out of the eyes. Everything up here is pretty much done. We've got white handrails that pop nice against the black. You got the bit all installed where the mooring gets hooked on. Chocks up in the front. Up here on the roof is the same thing. We got white handrails. That's where the Davy is gonna get mounted. The Davy is sitting outside. It needs to be modified a little bit. That's what's gonna hang the block over the side of the boat so we can haul traps. And then that white flat spot that you see on the roof is where the mast is gonna get mounted. Since the roof has crown in it, we had to make a little flat spot on the roof for the mast to sit on. This is also where the 4 hydraulic lines come up from the engine room. So we'll be jumping right out of those, right into the mast to feed the booms with hydraulics. I've had several questions asking what's supporting underneath the mast. For one, Westmac builds everything extremely overkill. So the roof of this thing is very thick cord fiberglass, and that alone is extremely strong. But it's also, the mast is built right on top of this winter back wall, the back of the wheelhouse wall, and we put a really thick, doubled up, essentially a header, if you're talking in construction terms, that makes it really strong above these windows. And we have the up and down support here, the up and down support here, the up and down on the corner. There's a lot of support underneath that. Something else should fail before the roof of the boat does. Anyway, let's head down to the bottom of the boat now. A quick pit stop on our way down to the bottom of the boat. I figured this was an essential, a necessity, right? We're gonna put this somewhere up on the mast. I didn't know it at the time, but it needs an air compressor to run it, so I guess we're putting a little mini air compressor in too. But I figured, I saw this on Amazon. How could we not get one of these to scare other boats, pull up behind them and blow this in their ears?
What kind of noise is it?
It's a train horn.
Oh.
So as we come down to the bottom, we got the trap rack that was used, but it's gonna fit on this boat really nicely. We've already had it up there to look at it. That's ready to go on. We can't put it on until we get to the water though, because it's gonna be too tall on the telephone wires. Bottom is all painted. We got the boot stripe on, which may be new to you. That's the white stripe that dresses up and breaks up the border between the gray and the black. So right here on the port side, this big exhaust tip looking piece of stainless is the drain for the manifold, and then the one in front of it is the one for the generator. We couldn't tee them together because they were worried about back pressure on the generator interfering with the manifold. But up here we've added more underwater lights, so there's now 4. There's 2 on the port, 2 on the starboard, 2 midship, and then 2 in the stern. This is the big WASP transducer. This is the superpowers that's feeding the information up to those monitors. I don't actually know what that is. I haven't seen that yet.
It's a jalopy.
A dynaplate? I have no clue what that is.
It's not a zinc, is it?
Bow thruster. We got a whole bunch of sea strainers on the bottom of all the seacocks. This is where we suck water for the engine, the generator, the heat pump. There's gonna be an AC heat pump in this thing. That needs salt water run through it. Toilet. We gotta suck a lot of ocean water into this thing for several different purposes. Look at the size of the hatch.
Oh.
You can actually open it from the bottom, so I can't even lock you and Cody down under here anymore.
That's awesome.
Freeman hatch. This is also made by Advantech. Advantech makes all of the windows, doors, and this hatch that's going in the boat. This one has dogs all the way around, but it's just one lever. We've got the mast and the booms here. We've been mounting some electronics on the mast. We got the running lights, the radar, and the WASP sat compass on the top. We still have a few more things left to install on this, but it's coming together. We've got both the booms ready to go with the pull masters. These are hydraulic winches that have a brake built in so they can't creep backwards. We got a short boom for barreling pogies and a long boom for the power block for pulling the net into the boat. Back here on the back of the boat, you can see the extension beginning to get built, the little aluminum tailgate that's going on the back. We've got both the zip weight, the trim tabs. These are what push the bow of the boat down, lift the stern up when we're cruising under a heavy load. Then we got the stern thruster, the Sleipner electric stern thruster. All right, so that's about it for the tour. Now the truck should be here any minute, hopefully to deliver the windows and the doors, and we're gonna begin installing them, which will be one of the most transformative parts of the build yet. They have black frames. It's gonna really make the boat look done. Like everything looks pretty done right now, but we just got these big open window holes. So hopefully the truck will be here momentarily. We're gonna get some windows put in this thing and she's gonna really start looking like something. All right, well, I got good news and bad news. The good news is I did receive confirmation confirmation the windows shipped. The bad news is they're in possession of the shipping company. They are stuck in customs, and with the 4th of July, I can't get a hold of anybody to figure out where they are or what I need to do to get them. So it's gonna be a few days before we get the windows. We are running a little bit behind on them, and they're one of the last big key pieces to getting the boat built. We could have everything done and ready to go, but we can't launch without windows. They are arguably the most important part of the boat. The next 2 days we're gonna spend out on the ocean. I guess we're gonna go bait our traps up and do something productive while we wait for the windows to get here. Not my first choice of what I would like to be doing. I would love to get the boat finished up and get that thing in the water. All my priority levels, like at the top, are finish the boat, and then it's catch pogies, and then it's go brook trout fishing, and then it's like 4 or 5 other things, and then somewhere down there towards the bottom is lobster fishing, but somehow that's what we find ourselves doing the next 2 days. So as much as I would like to work on the boat and spend every waking minute finishing that thing up and getting it on the water, especially now that we're pogie fishing, I unfortunately have got other priorities I got to tend to. So we're gonna spend today getting the boat ready for lobster fishing. Fortunately, the pogies have arrived here. We have been able to get our own bait recently, but we have had to travel to go get it, which has been extra painful. I don't want to down talk the boat while we're on it. I got a rule against that now, but seeing how nice the Westmac is gonna be and knowing how awesome it's gonna be for purse seining just makes it a little bit tougher to go purse seining in this one, knowing we're this close to the finish line. I would love to stay and work on the boat until it is done and get it in the water, but I still do have traps in the water. I still do have to pay for all of this crap somehow. So the plan is for the next 2 days is to go lobster fishing, get the traps baited up, cleaned up. They have kind of got put on the back burner here. So I guess we gotta be responsible from time to time and do what we don't want to. So the boat is still a mess from pogie fishing. So we're gonna get it cleaned up, we're gonna get bait put on, and we're gonna get ready for lobster fishing tomorrow. So while I was hoping this video was gonna be primarily about putting the windows in the boat, it's turning into a little bit of a weekly vlog. We'll have a little bit of boat work, a little bit of lobster fishing, but the first order of business before we do anything is breakfast. Factor now has breakfast. Been loving their food. They have high protein meals, chef crafted. I mean, tastes like it came from a restaurant. These guys have been a long-time sponsor of the channel, and I would eat them regardless of them being a sponsor of the channel. They have awesome food, and it's easy and convenient to eat on the go. This is my first time trying the breakfast one.
It's good.
It's very good.
Smells it.
Factor is an awesome solution for anybody living or working a busy lifestyle. On the go, especially for me. It's very well suited for what we do because we make our living out on the ocean. Although as of recently, I've spent more time working on land than I have the ocean, but still, it fits into my schedule very well. It's easy to just pop them in the microwave and get quick, easy, healthy meals on the go. Rather than eating junk at the gas station, you can get high protein meals that taste as good as any meal you're gonna find in a restaurant. This one here is the potato, bacon, egg breakfast skillet, and it's delicious. Factor delivers chef-crafted and dietitian-approved meals directly to your door so you don't have to cook them. So you can eat well this summer without having to spend too much time in the kitchen. All Factor meals are made with real ingredients. There's no prep work, no mess, and no cleanup after you're done. Just throw it in the garbage. It's one of the best parts. You don't even have to do the dishes. They literally take all the effort out of eating well. Along with breakfast, they also have salads, green juices, nice squeak, and peanut butter energy bites. 97% of people that have tried Factor say that it helps them live a healthier life, and 92% of people say that it helped them live a less stressful life, which I don't understand how it's not 100%. Those must be the people that really love to cook, not me. If you want to try Factor for yourself this summer, you can head over to factor75.com, or you can click the link below and you can use the code JacobKnowles50 and you can get 50% off of your first Factor box plus free breakfast for a year. You won't regret signing up, I promise you. The food is great. While this is a sponsor of the video, I also recommend this to my friends and I eat it all the time. It's awesome. The offer is only valid for new Factor customers with the code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. All right, I gotta get back to work. We gotta get the boat ready. We will see you on the water tomorrow morning. Hopefully we'll catch some cool catches, show you some cool stuff. We'll see you there.
I think Cody smelled your Factor.
Got going on in there.
Give it a rating, see what you think.
Leftovers or not, I'm unhappy.
It's only like the first time you've eaten in 12 hours today.
Jeez. What is wrong with that, fellas?
We just caught a pretty cool lobster with a tag on it. There's several organizations in Maine and Canada, in New England I guess, that tag lobsters and track them for migration studies. see what we can learn about them. This organization, we've actually caught several tags from them. We caught one last week. I made a short video about it, and it traveled like 100 miles over the past year. This is a different one, 02915. I'm going to send her a text message. It has a cell phone number on here also. You send a text message to them, and they have a bunch of information on every time a fisherman has caught her. They report the lobster to her, and she can keep track of where it is. So I've talked to the lady several times. I'm going to send her a text on our ride home. So later in this video, hopefully after we get the windows installed in the boat, we'll hear back from her. We can figure out where this lobster came from. People don't realize it, but they can actually travel extremely long distances. This same lady told me last time I texted with her about the last lobster we caught. She tagged one, and in 1 year it traveled from the Bay of Fundy all the way down to the east side of Cape Cod in state waters. Pretty crazy. This one was definitely tagged up in the Bay of Fundy in Canada. That's where the organization is, but it's hard to say where this lobster's traveled. It'll be interesting to see when she was tagged, who's caught her, where, and how far she's traveled. So we got something to look forward to a little later on in this video. The fog is finally clearing off here a little bit. It's been a foggy, pretty miserable day. Hopefully it stays clear. It's been trying, it's been fighting us all day. We're gonna get back to work here. Still no word on the windows. I'm hoping they call today. I'm getting kind of nervous about them. That's a pretty important piece that could cause a problematic delay if they don't show up on time. I know the plan is for them to be here either today or tomorrow, but I was hoping I would have got a call or a text message by now. All right, back to work. Back to work. Get them in the boat. Get them in the boat. The color of that water, we haven't seen any sea life today. Tuna fish, whales, dolphins.
Yeah, we had whales out here the other day, the last time. I figured we'd see them.
I feel like with that water, we should be seeing like marlin and sailfish. All right, well, I guess I've put off doing this part as long as I can. We have to start bringing traps in. I was hoping to wait long enough to do it in the Westmac because it's a job that'll be much easier to do in the Westmac. We'll be much faster at it, be much more comfortable, we have a lot more room, a lot more speed. But in the summertime, as the water warms up, we'll take our traps from offshore where they were in the wintertime, and we'll bring them in closer to home. And when the water's warm, we can catch more lobsters closer to home. It's a shorter ride, we burn less fuel, it's funner fishing. Stay out too long out here, you run the risk of the lobsters crawling in by you, and all the fun is taking place inside, and you're out here twiddling your thumbs. So I've been procrastinating it because for one, I've been busy working on the boat and everything else, but also I've kind of been figuring if I could wait long enough to get the Westmac in, I could do it quicker with that boat than if I started doing it in this boat, but we've waited as long as we can. So we're gonna begin the process here and put 50 on and bring them in and set them out on our way home. Bring them into a little shallower water.
Don't worry, Jake, I'll get it.
Okay. Hopefully catch some soft new-shelled lobsters.
Some of them nice, bright, fresh ones.
Yeah, we're taking some rope off of them. These ones have 120 fathom of rope on them. We're shortening them up. We're cutting them pretty much in half. So not only shorter ride next time, less fuel and more fun, but it's also faster because we got to haul half the rope. We would need a cover for the rope locker doing this. We're cutting rope off of them. I never really thought about it because I've never had a rope locker, but when we're cutting the rope off of them, you're not really going to be able to use it. So we are going to have to build some kind of cover to go over the top of it when we don't want to use it. The way I like to take the rope off is just let it coil itself up on the floor, then we cut it off and tie it up, and it's all ready to go next time. I guess you could coil it up by hand, but it would take a lot of extra time and be a little harder. Not many lobsters left out here, but the ones that are beauties. Check out that male. I think he's a little too big. Yep, 5.5 incher. So this boat I can pretty comfortably put 50 traps on. We can still go along 12, 13, 14, well yeah, probably 13, 14 knots with the 50 traps on, which is comfortable and doable. We can put 100 on, but we are pretty crammed when we put 100 on, and with 100 we can only go about 11 or 12 knots. So we usually only do 100 when we're like in a hurry or we gotta run a long distance. It doesn't really make sense to do 50 at a time, but in this case we're not really in too much of a hurry yet, so we're just taking 50 with us and dropping them off on the way home. But in the Westmac we'll be able to, if we ever get caught in a situation where we're in a hurry to move traps, we're gonna be much better off to do so. We can move, I think crammed on that boat, we measured it with a tape measure and was trying to estimate it. I think if we like want to stack them up, we can put like 200 on there, but comfortably shifting, I think we can move about 150 and we should still get 16, 17 knots out of it with a load of traps on. So it'll be a lot faster.
We got home last night, Jake. What was laughing at you? She said, how did Jacob
just about break his foot.
Oh my word, didn't I go in a pile? I landed just like that. That's why I went in such a pile, because I tried not to put weight on it. I was like, I'm either going to break my ankle or land right in the heat.
I thought you did, bro.
Yeah, when I didn't see you fall right back up,
Oh, it hurt.
I got a little worried.
Oh, that would have sucked. That would have been a bad time of year to break an ankle. I'd be slipper skipping in the West Mat.
That one I might
You'd allow it? Okay. It's the only way I'm allowed to slipper skip with a broken ankle. There's a few pogies, luckily too, in the area. We're baiting our pogies on that we caught the other day. If you caught some of the banter. We got the net in the wheel, no surprise. And I put dive gear on to jump in to get it out. I got the net out, and I just kept the dive gear on to finish the set. Well, in the commotion with no boot on, my dive suit has no boots. It's just the sock feet, and I rolled my ankle in good shape while jumping on it. I jumped down off the washboard onto the floor and landed on my ankle on the side. I thought I broke my ankle. Luckily, it was just sprained, and it's feeling pretty good today. So in this boat, when we're moving long distances and we're in a hurry, we can move about 200 traps a day. We'll take 2 loads of 100. Sometimes if it's a little shorter run, we can do 3 loads of 100, but we can't go very far if we're doing that because it takes so long in between trips. It burns up all our time in the day. Whereas in the West Mac, if we can stack 200 on there and make 2 trips, we can get 400 in 1 day. So what takes like a week on this boat, we can do in like 2 days on that boat. So it's gonna be pretty exciting. I cannot wait to load that baby up with traps and taking them up in the winter.
That'll be nice.
Take them up in 2 days. A big one? That one's not as big as the one I had. Mine was bigger.
But mine looks better.
Oh, same. Another 5.5 incher.
Oh my god, that jumped out of me. I thought it was the ball hauler.
Well, no good news yet on the windows. We're gonna head in, drop these 50 traps off on our way home, head to the boat shop tomorrow, and hopefully have better news on the windows. They're stuck in customs at the moment. All right, well, I just got off the boat. My day would typically end here, but I'm gonna run over to the shop and try to help for a few hours. They're still working for a couple more hours. So I think the plan is to run over and prep some of the stainless that's gonna be going on the rails. We need to drill a bunch of holes in it. They've been busy drilling the holes. I thought my stainless drilling days were behind me. That hauling patch still haunts me. Stainless is a tough metal to drill. We have a bunch of holes to drill and we gotta countersink every one of them, get them prepped up and ready to screw onto the rails. All right, good morning. I am headed back over to the shop to finish a little bit of countersinking that we didn't quite finish yesterday in that stainless angle, and then we're gonna begin screwing it onto the rail. If all goes to plan, today we're gonna get all of that stainless screwed onto the rail and ready to weld, because tomorrow Paul is gonna come back and weld it all together. And then he's also gonna weld fence posts to the top of it. I think also later today, John, the owner of Ron Thomas, the guy who built that steering system that I showed you earlier in the video, is gonna ride over. He's gonna check the boat out. He's a super cool guy, and he's gonna tell us a little bit of those nitty-gritty details about the steering system that I touched on earlier. It's a really cool steering system that I truly believe is the future for rudder-steered boats going forward. I think it's gonna be a game changer. A little bit more investment up front, but worth it in the long run. Let's go in and get to work. It also looks like the hydraulics are here, which is exciting. That's another important thing that needs to get done before launch day. Got a whole snowmobile trailer full of hydraulics. Maybe just when we drill these holes in, we'll stay down towards the bottom. Yep. So that way the countersinks will try to suck them down a little bit. Yep. All right. Ready? Yeah, this one is going to be a little harder. I guess I could go down there on a ladder. The front of that's going to have to get some kind of cap transition built anyway. We could just go like right here. Windows should be delivered today before 5 p.m. That's what they said yesterday. Beautiful. All that. You got another drill over there? We can put one in each. That's perfect. Well, we have learned that the hydro pump is too big to fit where it needs to go, so we have to cut a hole in the front of the lobster tank to make room for the hydraulic pump. We're going backwards. We're going the wrong way.
It happens.
It was so pretty too, man. So is that just gonna stick out like a few inches, Mike? Right there?
Yep.
Where that's ground, all the way out to there, a box.
I'm not even gonna make a box sticking out.
Just angle it. Yeah. a ramp.
Yeah. I had half them on, like I said before, I was gonna build the plans like we have been on everything else. I'm gonna leave that bottom lip on there, drill 2 drain holes in it.
John and his wife, they have taken over, bought Ron Thomas, the machine shop, and they built this work of art of a steering system. It's absolutely incredible. And he's gonna tell us a little bit about what makes it so special.
Well, thank you. Thank you. First and foremost, right, everything is machined. Everything. Out of solid material. And then we also, when you're using solid material, the next thing you want to make sure is it's non-corrosive, right?
Right.
Because even aluminum's pit
Yep.
if they're not treated right. Whereas 3/16 stainless, you'll never have that problem. So then what we've all obviously done, these cylinders, doubled the wall size. So the pressure, we could increase pressure. You guys gotta get places faster. The steering systems haven't supported that power.
They haven't really grown with the boats.
No. You know, certain things people forget about. It's hidden down. It's a hidden feature on the boat. As long as the boat steers, you're happy, right? When the boat stops steering, you're in a lot of trouble. My wife and I have spent 30 years making helicopters fly. You kind of take the same principle on how they pitch blades on a helicopter.
Yep.
So that's kind of how we came up with this. And then obviously, people who know your industry. We have 3 full-time engineers. Combined it with their expertise in hydraulics, and by far the best in the industry. As far as we're concerned, we revolutionized the steering.
certainly
wheel.
have.
Yeah. So increased cylinder sizes allow us to get our pressure up to 3,000 pounds on the cylinders. That is almost double what's been industry standard for years.
Yep.
That now allows the horsepower you have to support. So congratulations, guys. You no longer need a grease gun on the boat, at least for that. That was the whole point. We wanted to make it so you just never had to worry about it. Because again, I've seen pictures have been sent to me while we were designing this. Guys blowing out their cylinders and taking rope.
Yeah,
tying it up 30 miles
I think we've
offshore.
all rode home on a pipe wrench on the shaft, steering ourselves home a few times. What are you doing in here upside down?
Because it's the only way I can reach down in here.
Is this your home?
Yes. It's a little warm though. I'd much rather.
I told you we could have made this cubby a little bigger, and you said no, this was fine.
Well, then I wanted a hatch, and you guys said no.
I've got some whale safe rope here.
Yeah.
Put on that end. Wow, that thing's heavier than it looks. Hold on a second, Trevor. I gotta get out further. Yeah. Ahead further.
Oh, she's off even on the level. It just needs like 2 inches picked out.
It does look good. It looks awesome. All right, it is now almost 3 o'clock. I still haven't heard from the transportation company that's shipping the windows, so I'm losing hope that they're gonna arrive before 5 p.m. today like they were supposed to. Tomorrow's Friday, so hopefully they come tomorrow. If not, we're not gonna have them for the weekend either, and it'll likely be next week before they come. We still have so much to do, and every time I place a deadline, we start running into problems that make that deadline seem hard to achieve. I'm still holding on to hope that, what did I say? Last video we were 3 weeks away, so now it puts us 2 weeks away. If everything comes together on time and we get all the parts and pieces we need on time, hopeful that we can make it in the water in 2 weeks, but there is still so much to do, and honestly it's starting to get a little bit overwhelming. This is the first part of the build where I've started to get a little bit overwhelmed. So far throughout it, it's been very rewarding, very satisfying, and it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot throughout it, but now it's like, I feel like we're so close to the finish line, and it's like, just get it done and get it in the water. The fact that we're pogey fishing now in my old boat is not helping the situation either. Oh, and also one last thing before we close out today's video, the tagged lobster. I did hear back from the woman that does the tagging program, and I actually got some pretty cool results from it. It's the Grand Manan Whale and Seabird Research Station in New Brunswick, Canada. They regularly tag egged female lobsters to track where they go. So pretty cool story about this lobster we caught earlier in the video. Ironically, I caught one just like it about a week or two ago. I reached out to her, shared it, and that lobster that I caught was caught September 26th of 2025, around 80 miles northeast of where we fish. So crazy enough, the lobster that we just caught was also tagged on September 26th, the same exact day on the same exact trip, and released in the same spot. Strangely enough, they seem to be traveling together. I don't know if it's a big group of lobsters or what it is, but both of the female egged lobsters that were tagged off of Grand Manan Island September 26th of 2025 both crawled their way to where I fish 80 miles to the southwest. She has been doing this for a very long time, and she said it's the first time she's had that happen. Usually the tagged female eggers just go randomly. They just scatter after they're tagged. She said she's never seen two of them travel that far together. Kind of cool. But anyway, thank you for sticking around to the end of this one. Assuming the windows don't come in the next 2 hours, we'll see you there.